What's going on, everybody? Josh from Detail Addicts here, and in this video I'm going to take a moment to talk a little bit about buffing or paint correction and what exactly it is, and tell you a little bit about some of the tools that we use and some of the products as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Buffing, machine polishing, paint correction. What the heck exactly is it? Well, in a nutshell, it's all the exact same thing. It's just an evolved term over time to describe the same thing. Mainly, using a machine to preserve and correct the vehicle's paint to get it to a desired effect. Now, why did people start using machines? Great question. So this, if you own a vehicle that has a paint job from 1985 to current, this is a great representation of your vehicle's paint. You have a base coat, a primer, a base coat, and a clear coat. Now this is a great combination way to lay your paint down because with the clear coat as a standalone, you get a great protective layer for your color of your vehicle's paint. Vehicles before 1985 had a single stage layer paint job where the clear coat and the base coat was put in together at the same time, and you had more layers of this and thicker paint, but the protection level was not so strong, and you would actually get some of the color that would come off on your towel or pad if you rubbed too hard or too much on the vehicle's paint, or sometimes when waxing. So, got those in the wrong order. Sorry about that. There we go. So this is a great color demonstration of what your vehicle's paint job is nowadays. This is a great physical representation of how thick your vehicle's paint is on average. The average vehicle's paint job is no thicker than a Post-it note. Now, I say average because everything's a little bit different. Some vehicles are a little bit thicker, some vehicles have more of a hardener in their clear coat, and it varies from year to year. But on average, that's how thick your vehicle's paint is, about the thickness of a Post-it note. Now, some of the damage that you may get in your vehicle as daily driving comes around are water spots, which will kind of just sit on your vehicle's surface, and iron fallout, which if you're anywhere near steel mills or railway yards, rail dust as it's referred to as, will land in the vehicle's clear coat. And it will sit there, and over time will be pulled deeper and deeper and deeper, causing further damage. Now when we detail the car, we're going to use acids and whatnot and specialized chemicals to remove the water spots and slowly the iron fallout, using products like G-Technics W6 iron fallout remover, which also turns the particles purple when they remove them. Great representation. But the damage has still been left done to your clear coat. It is still etched into it, and we have to get rid of that. We want to preserve the paint. We want to make it a perfect surface again, because that damage will show when you see it. Alright, so we've got a little bit of iron fallout damage and some of that, and then say, kid with the bike comes by and you get some light wash scratches all over it and stuff, and before you know it, that beautiful, beautiful paint job that you once knew and had has been damaged from life. Life has happened. So we do some machine polishing with our buffers, rotary buffers, that's where the term comes from, buffing, and we remove the damage, right? So this is going to simulate taking the polisher, and we're going to go over it over and over and over, and we're going to remove the damaged layers, as you see there, and we're going to remove it all, and we're going to get it down smooth and perfect. And for efforts of speediness, boom! That's what it looks like when it's done, right? You get the nice smooth surface. We've reduced the thickness a little bit, but overall, we have the desired effect, back when the vehicle looked new again. So, what are some of the products you may see when it comes to doing this? Well, rotary polishers are still a thing. There's also gear-driven dual-action polishers. This is a great example of one. So this polisher both rotates the pad and it oscillates, creating two rotational motions, reducing hologramming, which happens with older polishers, or rotary polishers. This is a free-spinning dual-action polisher, and it doesn't have any gear-driven, but it does rotate and it oscillates, does the same motion. So this is a smaller head, it's just used for smaller, tighter areas on that. We have some different pads here. This is a black finishing pad. It has no cut to the foam itself and a very low density. It's great for final finishing and getting rid of any last remaining swirling and scratching or cutting elements from the polish or a finished polish. This is a more denser or harder foam with a little bit of cut to the surface as well, and it's used for getting rid of light to mediate swirling and imperfections and oxidation. Then you have a microfiber pad here. Now this has a fiber to it which does a lot of cut and removes a lot of oxidation and swirling and scratching very, very quickly, but it can leave a lack of finish to it and dull the surface at the end. So when using a pad like this, you would sometimes need to finish back with a finishing pad at the very end just to get the gloss to pop back out. When it comes to the pads, they have different levels of cut. When it comes to the polish, there's no such thing as anything different. You have, they all have diminishing abrasives in them, but this one's got a harder cut and less of a gloss to it, and it's got more diminishing abrasive of a harder cut particle. This one is a finite finishing, or not finite, it's a final finishing polish. So it has low cut, but very high gloss to it. And it does a really great, amazing job. And you can actually mix these two on the pads together to get both a cut and a glossing effect and kind of blend in. And that just comes with experience. Knowing what you're working with and what it's working on and recognizing it as you do it. But it is just like the pads and the polishers are interchangeable to what combination you're going to use. So is the polish and mixing them together. Another great polish is Enigma AIO from Angel Wax. This is a all-in-one. It both cuts and polishes and finishes all in one shot, and it leaves a protection built in. So it's a great one-step polish. One of my favorite combinations is to use like an orange pad, and it will cut and remove the damage and a lot of oxidation, and it'll finish down really, really great. It's great for getting it around up to 85% of brand new, what it used to look like back finished again. Another polish here's Perfect Polish, and this is a great polish to use by hand, but you can also use it on a machine. It's a great finishing polish, and it finishes down really, really great. It doesn't have a lot of cut to it. It's more of a finishing polish than anything, but you can use it with a black pad on a low speed setting on your dual action polisher and cover more surface quickly and not have to use so much elbow grease. And that is a great combination. Last tool I got to show you guys is going to be a paint thickness gauge. This is a great handy tool to measure the thickness of the paint. Obviously my thumb's not painted, so there's nothing there, but it'll kind of give you a ballpark of how thick the paint is, roughly measured in mils or millimeters, and let you know what you're dealing with. Certain vehicles have so many mils thick when they're brand new. When you get a car or a customer come in and the vehicle has less mils than it started with new, you know the vehicle has been polished on before. If it has such few mils on it, you may be looking at possibly just needing to send this customer, or this vehicle needs to go to a paint shop. It's no longer salvageable by a detailer. And that is something we try to avoid, but having a gauge to measure that and know really can help save the day. It also lets you know when you're polishing how much you're removing as well, and gives you that kind of set of reference, so that way when you're done or as you're working on it, you know how much you're removing, you know how much is left on there for the longevity of the vehicle. So those are the differences between rotary buffing, machine polishing, or paint correction. Mainly, there aren't any. Just the terminology used to describe the machines and the work done during the types of evolution of paint and machine polishing. Hope this has been really helpful for you guys, and if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@detailaddicts.com or at www.detailaddicts.com. Thank you, and have a good one.